Once again, Star Fox has done it. I think Nintendo has found the formula to make sure Star Fox becomes a major franchise going forward, because we've got big updates on how Star Fox is performing in specific regions, and we've got updates to the sales when it comes down to it. Now, this is an important game for, I would just say, any Star Fox fan, just because we don't know. It was unsure how Star Fox would go going forward because of all the failures that they've had before in the past with Star Fox Zero, and games just not selling that great from pretty much the N64 or after Star Fox 64 and on. But now we have some hope here because there are positive things to report. Plus, we've got big updates on Splatoon Raiders. Got to talk about that game and more. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers, or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. So Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 starts off really strong in the UK. These are the numbers that are posted, or more like the data that Christopher Dring over there from the Game Business has posted up via Twitter, and here's what he had to say. Now, the game was #1 on the physical UK sales charts for the past week. The sales of Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 has doubled Star Fox Zero's sales on the Wii U. Remember, this is all just physical data, does not include digital, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Now, the sales of Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 are 70% above Star Fox 64 3D, and that's a very important stat. And the reason why it is because that was the last pure Star Fox 64 game released. So if you want to judge it against two different things, now I don't know about the install base where the 3DS was at the time compared to the Nintendo Switch 2, but I don't think the Switch 2's install base is anything massive at this point in the UK. It's okay, it's good, and it's probably above maybe what the 3DS was aligned up, or it's like right around it, or maybe a bit above it. But at the same time, like, to see that there's far more interest in Star Fox 64 on the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to the remake of that compared to what they did, because the 3DS version is a remaster of Star Fox 64. They take that game, they make the graphics better, but fundamentally pretty much the same. They didn't rewrite the code, they didn't do anything like that. They just took it and just made it look better. Whereas Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 is a full remake of the game. You got the 60 FPS, you've got the added rendering and graphics. Like, it's a completely different beast under the hood compared to Star Fox 64 3D, which is pretty much built on top of that original Nintendo 64 version. So to see that much more interest in this one over Star Fox 64 3D a decade plus ago is a very, very positive sign. Very happy about that. And the UK isn't one of Nintendo's biggest markets, so to see it do that much better is a good thing, because I want to see this franchise continue. Where when it comes to digital, Nintendo Switch 2 has been doing pretty good. We're seeing games sell really well digitally across the board just because it's convenient for a lot of people out there. Now, Switch 2 gamers still buy a lot of physical games, as I reported before with the Nintendo Switch 2, that we're seeing spikes in physical sales compared to other platforms. But it's still one of those things to where Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2, even on the Amazon Switch 2 sales charts, it's doing really good. #1 on there, and even in the new release multi-platform sales charts, so this gauges the games that have came out within the last number of months, it's also #1 on there, above Tomodachi Life, which has been a pretty good seller. Now, of course, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's selling better than Tomodachi Life, because we don't have those numbers yet. I don't think it's going to do that good. That game is crazy, but I do think Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2 is set for a 2 million plus sales lifetime to date, maybe even more than that. I think there's a lot of momentum behind this brand. There is a lot of people that are looking forward to playing Star Fox. They saw Fox in the Mario movie, and that was really cool for them, and this is their first experience playing Star Fox. There are even people that are older that just never really played Star Fox before, but they tried it out on the Switch 2 and love the gameplay. It's a really get in, get out action arcade style. It respects your time. There's multiple playthroughs. You can really kind of go through through and experience the game in a much better way with the achievements and the replay value and all the different routes that you can do. People are exploring the depth of Star Fox like they didn't do before, because yes, I played the heck out of Star Fox before in the past, but I never tried to kind of collect all the medals and do all the challenge stuff in the game before. This game actually encourages that and kind of prompts you to do that and gives you easy access to see exactly where you are, what you need to do, how you can get different routes and everything. So it really just sets it up way, way, way better for you to do replay value and for you to really enjoy what they're trying to bring in this game. So that's what I love about Star Fox on the Nintendo Switch 2. It brings out that replay value, it encourages it much more, and it gives you that online multiplayer to really enjoy too. So it's just one of those things to where it's great. It seems like it's doing well. People are enjoying what's going on there, and I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what's going to happen more with Star Fox, because to me, this really is going to potentially carry on the franchise. We're going to see a sequel to this. We're going to see it in this new style. I think it's really going to be something that Nintendo goes forward with in the future. So I'm excited for Star Fox to continue, and Bellin Studios, they've got themselves a hit, it does seem like here. Okay, we got to talk about another hit potentially, and that is Splatoon Raiders. We've got a brand new Splatoon Raiders Direct going down tomorrow. If you're watching this video on June 29th, there will be a Splatoon Raiders Direct on June 30th, and I will be live streaming and covering the show. Let's get into what Nintendo had to say. It says, join us on June 30th at 7 a.m. PT for the Splatoon Raiders Direct. The presentation will last roughly 15 minutes and provide more info on the upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 game. Hashtag Nintendo Direct. You can watch it on the Nintendo site there on YouTube. Nintendo also stated that after the presentation, stay tuned for Nintendo Treehouse Live for additional Splatoon Raiders gameplay lasting approximately 30 minutes. So you got about 45 minutes of content here from Nintendo between the Splatoon Raiders Direct and the Splatoon Raiders Nintendo Treehouse Live. So this is good. This is absolutely good for this game. Not everybody's convinced on the game so far. I have seen some people say, oh, well, they got to really show something crazy here because it just looks like it's going to be kind of drab, or they haven't shown too much. And I think that this game, from what I've gathered, I'm a big Splatoon fan. I do like Splatoon, the single player, and I also like the DLC for Splatoon games, and I also somewhat like the single player, and Salmon Run I do like a lot, but this game seems to combine kind of elements of the multiplayer, the single player, the DLCs that they've had, and kind of put it into its own game, kind of just extracted different parts. You've got a much bigger map to play with. Salmon Run, usually the map's pretty small, so that kind of puts stress on the players, but this one, the maps are much bigger here, so it's kind of like the single player, but at the same time, it gives you more tools and options, like the whole mechanic, and you're salvaging things. You kind of have to scrap things together and bring it back to the base to kind of build that up. That is a completely new mechanic that you don't see in any of the Splatoon games, so that has me more interested. You have the different map areas where you can collect the treasure, and it shows if you've gotten the big treasure or not, so you're kind of rating a little bit here, which hence the name, of course. So for me, this seems far more fun, at least from just what I'm looking at, than maybe what a Splatoon single player campaign would be in like Splatoon 1, 2, or 3, from what I've seen. Now, we have to wait for the gameplay. We have to wait for what they show more. I want to see what they do with bosses. They did kind of tease an underground area, so I think that they'll probably show off more of that underground area and kind of what's going on there, because we don't know much more about that. All we've seen is just the above ground areas and some of the enemies there, so it looks kind of like, okay, standard Splatoon stuff, but I want to see what's going on there underground. They haven't shown too many bosses, but they did tease it in just the very first trailer back last year. They did tease some type of glowing eye boss and everything, so I think they'll probably show off a little bit more here. Now, I don't want them to spoil stuff. I think some people want them to blow out information and spoil everything. I don't think they need to do that. The game is going to get reviews coming up here in July, so when they do the reviews, people will talk about that. I think it's going to be a low 80s or high 70s rated game. That's how Splatoon, even big games, rate, are about the low 80s. So this is a spin-off, so it could be rated a bit lower, so we'll see. Though I think it's going to be a solid game. I think it's going to be very fun. It's going to be a very gamers type of game. There's going to be a lot of content. I think there's going to be replay value as well with different difficulties and online multiplayer, or more like online cooperative play. So I'm looking forward to seeing them detail exactly how all of that is going to play out. But Splatoon Raiders coming off the heels of Star Fox, another great game exclusive for the Nintendo Switch 2, and another cheaper one as well, because this game's only $50 on the eShop and $60 physical MSRP. But of course, if you do the pre-order thing at Amazon or Walmart, you can get it for cheaper. You can get it for $50 physical on cart, and that's no game key card, guys, remember that. So pretty cool there. But now we have some stuff that's not so cool, and that's some price increases that Nintendo has announced in Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, so other parts here of Asia. And so these are the prices. I'm just going to go ahead and put them here instead of trying to pronounce all the different types of money and the increases that's going on. These are the prices from Japan, United States, Canada, Europe, Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. Pretty much all of the dates here are September 1st. We knew that Nintendo was increasing the price here in the US, and we knew that there was going to be price increases in Canada, but now we actually have the rest of it here with Korea, Taiwan, and confirmed how much it's going up from. Some places it's as like $30 or so, some places it's like $50, just like I said, rough comparison when it comes to it, and it's all going to be based on what region you live in and the high cost of RAM and components. That has been a thorn in the side of all the different manufacturers and all the different people that make video game consoles, whether it's an Android console or even phones or laptops or anything. Video game consoles, we've seen the craziness that has ensued when it comes to Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo to their own degree. So it just sucks, man. Like, this has been a major problem. But I wanted to talk about it. I'm not just going to talk about the bad when it comes to the price increases because of RAM and memory. What are they actually going to do about it? Well, looks like somebody's trying to do something, because RAM manufacturers are now being sued for allegedly fixing prices and supply, leading to increased costs. Yes, this is something. We've got a class action lawsuit claims Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron have been squeezing supply. So the three largest RAM manufacturers in the world are being sued for allegedly fixing the supply and prices of memory. The sharpest rising cost of memory is widely attributed to demand for AI data centers, with major vendors signing long-term deals with AI firms, writes Video Game Chronicle. Shout outs to VGC for this one. Now, as reported by Law 360, a class action lawsuit filed by a proposed class of individual and business consumers accuses Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron of playing a large part in what's being dubbed as Ramageddon by the media. The complaint alleges that the three companies, which make almost all of the world's supply of DRAM, have been working together to fix component prices while reducing supply. It accuses the trio of reducing its supply of DDR3 and DDR4 RAM, leading to a sharp increase in price for consumers who use it, and it focuses most of its production on HBM, a high-cost, high-bandwidth form of 3D stacked DRAM, mainly used by AI data centers instead of consumers. So there's a lot more information that's posted on this lawsuit, but here's the thing that I want to say. The consumer in me and the business person in me says, you know what? These people are absolutely squeezing us. They are trying to squeeze us. They are doing this on purpose. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. It probably is. There is no reason why RAM should be this high in prices to the point to where these types of things are happening. I feel it's being done purposefully, and if it's not being done purposefully, they're doing nothing to fix it because they want to get super rich, super fast, and make as much as possible because it's a business for them. So I do believe that's what's happening, but proving it in court is going to be a whole other thing. How are you going to be able to prove this? How are you going to be able to know that they're colluding in order to get that done? And I'm really hoping and I'm praying that this lawsuit goes in the way of the people accusing these RAM manufacturers, because this has caused a major problem. The people that are profiting off of this is so small to the amount of people that are suffering from it when it comes to consumers and the increased prices. And it's not like their money wouldn't be coming if they didn't do this. They're doing this to squeeze people and make significantly more than they would. I get maybe raising the price a little bit, but the problem is that it's way too high and it's causing way too many problems. So for me, at least, this is something that's going to be very important, but unfortunately, there's going to be no quick resolution to this. This is probably going to take years, maybe, unless there's some type of deal that's worked out, which I doubt it, considering how much money these RAM manufacturers are making. I don't see anything happening anytime soon when it comes to the resolution of this, and I just see high costs continuing on for years into the future. But what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.